Welcome to the Network Engineering video blog. I'm your host, Michael Crane. Today we're going to work on the Cisco Catalyst 3750 Ethernet switch. We're going to blow the configuration away that's in it. This is one that we got off of eBay for $50. And we're going to blow the configuration away that's in it and do initial config on it. Pretty much the same as what we did on the router. We'll hook it up to a network management network, or a management network, so we can access it via IP. And we're not going to use any of the GUI quick start setups that Cisco has for these things. We're going to just do it using the CLI. Oh, if you need to see how to connect the serial cables, I have a video where I blew the password away that was in this, and it has more details on how to hook up the console cable. So, all right, let's get started. We're going to be using PuTTY today to access the Cisco console, and I've already have one saved off. I'm going to, well, I say I have it load. Uh-oh. I think I just lost all my settings, so okay, so we're going to have to fix our console session. So it's serial, and we need to find out what COM it's on. So I'm going to, in a search for programs box in Windows, I'm just going to type in Device Manager. Pulls this up, and we want to look for COM and LPT. Okay, so it put it back on COM3 again, so that's good. So we just need to change this to COM3, and 9600 is correct. Let's save that real quick, and we can go check our other serial settings in here. Speed 9600, 8 data bits, 1 stop bit, no parity, and the flow control doesn't matter. So yeah, we're good. So let's go back up here and say open. This switch I don't think has any configuration in it, but just to kind of go over it, I'm going to show how to erase the configuration out again. And actually we'll just erase it. We're just going to go into the enable mode, and I think I defaulted from our last blog the enabled password to Cisco, and we're just going to erase the startup config. So the command is erase, and then you do a question mark, startup config. All right, and says continue, enter. Yep. So now I'm just going to reload it, and it should boot up with the in that setup script, just like in the router. It's would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog, and I think if you hit enter a few times, it just re-asks the question. So we're just going to say yes here. And we just want the basic management setup, so we're just going to say yes. It's going to be ESwitch number 2. So we'll just call this ESwitch 2. And that drawing I pulled up is what we've been working off of for several video blogs. So ESwitch 2. The enable secret password. We're just going to make everything Cisco again. Just like the router, it's going to complain about having the encrypted password and the visible password the same, but just for our use, we'll just keep it that way. See, there's complaining. And the VTY password, we'll just make it Cisco. Now we don't want SNMP now. Okay, and so it's just, now it's bringing up all the fast Ethernet ports and the gig ports, but we don't have any SFPs plugged in. So okay, enter, interface name to use to connect to the management network from above. So yeah, so we don't have a dedicated management Ethernet port. So we're just going to use port 1, and eventually port 1 will go away because we're going to use it for our switch, but just temporarily. Well, on second thought, let's just make it port 48, since it's just right here. I don't have to scroll up. Now, one of the things I thought was kind of interesting is it thinks it's switch 4, so we're probably going to have to go back and see why it thinks it's switch 4. But for now, we'll just keep continuing on. Configure IP on this interface, yes. IP address for this interface, we're going to do 192.168.1.76. Okay, yep, it's in a Class C network. Would you like to enable as cluster command switch? This switch is not going to be in a cluster, so we'll just say no. Okay. And it looks like it did a show run for us. Okay, go to the iOS command prompt without saving this config. Return back to the setup without saving this config. Or 2, save the config. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna, that's a default selection. I'm just gonna hit enter here. Okay, so it's complaining about the same password. Interesting, it's complaining about the IP address. Not exactly sure why. It looks like the default VLAN is VLAN 1. And use enable mode to configure. Okay, so we're just going to say enable. And the password is Cisco. And let's just see show run. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, we're in version 12.2. Okay, right here. And host name, enable, IP subnet, classless. Okay, so it looks like it just pretty much dumped in the factory defaults except for the passwords. Okay, one of the things I noticed when we reset or erase the config, the startup config in here is that we ended up with a our switch is still called on stack number, or switch number 4 on the stack. So if you do a show switch, you can see right here that it's number 4. It is role of master, but this isn't what I want, and so the defaults should be member number 1. You can see this is a default stack, priority 1, and so let's go see if we can change this. So what I want to do is okay, let me do a show switch detail, see if we can get more information. No. So let's see if we can renumber this switch, and hopefully that will clear out whatever config is stuck in here somewhere. So config T, and we're going to do a switch, and this is number 4. Okay, and let's try to renumber it, and we'll renumber it to number 1. Okay, changing the switch number resulting configuration for the switch, interface configuration associated with the old switch number will remain as provisioned configuration. Do you want to continue? Confirm, enter. Okay, so that's good. Let's do Control C and a right. And just out of curiosity, I'm going to do a show switch. Okay, well, it did say after reboot. Let's do a show config. I don't ever remember seeing a switch number in the config. I think it, oh, here we go. Anyway, let's reload it and see what happens. Okay, so it looks like it went ahead and changed it to switch number 1, which is very good. And so let's see. I think it's still trying to to get booted up. It's running pretty slow right now. Yeah, so let's do a show. Let's do a show run. And in case you don't know, show run is what's in memory. Show config is what's written to the startup file, a startup config file. Oops. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's it's got both of them in there. Okay, and here's our certificate. Okay. Ah, good. Yeah, so the way you read this Ethernet interface, this is a switch number. So it's switch number 1, card 0, port 10 is how that's read. And before, I don't know if you noticed, it was that's so they're both still in there. That's I don't think that's that good. So I think we're just going to erase this. So let's just do a let's do another erase. Oops, erase, start, config, yep, confirm. And yeah, let's see if it fixes this this default configuration. Okay, so it looks like our switch is booted up. Let's see what it looks like. Interesting. It doesn't look like it erased our startup config because I'm still using the Cisco password. Let's do a show config. Let's do a show run. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. I'm not exactly sure why it's not going into initial config mode. Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. Erase. Okay, continue, confirm. All right. Then reload. Proceed with reload, confirm. Switch one has changed to state down. Okay. Would you like to enter the initial configuration mode? Well, yeah, I wonder why we didn't get that last time. Basic management, yep. Hostname, ESwitch 2. Cisco. This is enable secret, enable password. Yes, it's going to complain. Terminal, Cisco. And no SNMP. Okay, that's good. Showing the switch number to be 1. Okay, enter interface used to connect to the management network. That's going to be, we're just going to use number 48 for now. Configure IP on this interface, yep. And we're going to make it 192.168.1.76. Yep. Would you like to enable as cluster command switch now? All right. So now let's see. Mucho better. Yes, we want to save this. Isn't that interesting? It does not like IP address. I'm not sure why that message is there. So let's see, we'll try to enable Cisco show config. So now I got rid of all the duplicate junk that was in there. And we've got the factory default config. Except for, yeah, so you can see right here that it didn't add the IP address. And I bet you I know why. See, I think this is, let's see, yeah, because I think we have to tell if it's either an access port or a trunk port, and that might be why we're not getting what we want. So we're going to say this is an access. So I just did a switchport question mark, and then we're going to say access question mark. Set VLAN when interface is in access mode. We're going to say VLAN, I believe 1 is the default, and enter. Okay, so we're going to do a Control C and a write. Let's do a show config. Okay, so our VLAN 1 is shut down. We do need to, yeah, see here's the IP address, and I believe that the way that's going to work is we're going to assign an IP address to this VLAN, and since port 1 is on VLAN 1, we'll be able to get to it through port 1. Config T, interface VLAN 1, and now we're going to do a no shut. Control C and a write. Okay, so now we've got the interface VLAN 1 changed to up, which is good. And let's do a show config. Okay, interface VLAN 1, no IP address. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so what I'm looking for, the reason why I'm him and hawing is I need to assign this port to VLAN 1. So okay, so let's do see, I'm missing something. This is, so I'm kind of working from memory here. So config T, you know, I could break down and pull up the user's guide, which would probably make this video a little bit shorter, but you know, where's the fun in that? If you can't hack away at your $50 Ethernet switch, what good is it? Okay, so we're going to do config T. Now we're going to do a so we don't have a, we have an interface VLAN, but that's not quite the VLAN. There's like two different VLAN descriptions in here, so I'm going to say VLAN question mark and okay, so we're just going to give it an ID of 1 question mark and enter. Okay, now I'm going to say, I think we have to do a state enable or active. Okay, let's see here. So let's do a show config, and now let's see. Okay, I see we're getting more and more stuff populated in our configuration here. I'm not exactly sure what this is. That might be some kind of automatic VLAN allocation. I don't think we ever use that. Okay, we still have nothing in our fast Ethernet interface, but we do have interface VLAN 1. We still need an IP address for it. And did I miss our VLAN? Okay, well, I didn't see it in the show config. Let's do a show VLAN. Ah, there we go. So it looks like the reason why we're not seeing the config inside the show interface is because it's default. And Cisco, in their infinite wisdom, says default commands shall be hidden from you, so you have to guess what the hell they are. And there is a command, at least in version 15, there's a command to show all the hidden configs, so you can weed out that. But so when I did a show VLAN, you can see it's already assigned to VLAN number 1 here, right? So and that's why it's not under here. Oop, where are we? That's why it's not in here. Now, if I assign this to VLAN 2, you would see it pop up underneath the interface config. Okay, so I think we can give it an IP. Let's try it. So we're just having some fun here. Config T interface fast 1048, and let's say IP. No, I still can't do that. So we're just going to have to assign it to the VLAN. So we'll just say config T interface, and this is the interface command. This isn't the VLAN command. There's two of them. So there's interface, or there's VLAN, and we're looking for the interface to assign an IP address. I'm going to say interface VLAN 1. Okay, and there should be, yep, there it is, IP. And what this does is, so you plug in any one of those ports that are in VLAN 1 into the management network, and you should be able to get to that IP address. And but we're probably going to remove that later on. So so we're going to say IP address and 192.168.1.76. Oops. With a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. All right. And I did a Control-C right. Let's do a show config. Okay. Okay. So here's our IP address. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and see if we can get to it through port 48 here. Okay, so I plugged in the Ethernet interface, and I did see it come up. I plugged it into port 1 just because it was closer to where I was standing. But it doesn't look like we're pinging anything. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So it just took it a minute for the VLAN interface to come up. It wasn't shut down, was it? No. And I bet you it was because of VLAN state. So if we do a show VLAN. Now see, if we would have done that state active on VLAN 1, and I'll show you it, this thing wouldn't work at all, and which is kind of a trap. If you've never ran into this before with these switches, when you add a new VLAN, you have to tell it its state is active. So config T VLAN 1, and if we do a state, yeah, so it's only got active and suspend. So when you add a VLAN, if you don't do a state active, this thing this thing's never going to work, and you'll be scratching your head. And what's worse is it's not. If you look in the config, there's nothing in the config that says VLAN1 state active, which is a real bummer, because you can be just sitting there scratch your head unless you just happen to remember the command show VLAN. Show VLAN. And yeah, you'll see it, you know, it'll say suspended or not active or something up here. I don't remember. We saw it earlier. I don't remember exactly what it said. So so there you go. So now we should be able to let's try SSHing into this. Well, we don't have a user yet, so we should probably do that. So config T, and let's see, what is it? User Cisco password. Cisco. Oh, password. We want it be unencrypted. Cisco. And enter. Okay. Let's do show. And I did a Control C right again. Show config. Here we go. User Cisco, password Cisco. And the reason why you have to add the user, because you need a username for SSH. Cause like the router, you know, you have to tell it how you're going to connect to it. So line, let's see, config T, and then we're just going to do line VTY04, enter, transport. This will be input. And we're going to say SSH. And we also have to tell it to use a local user. So I'm going to do a config T again. Line. Let me do a show config. This is why I copy and paste this config into a notepad. I just didn't do it this time because the config's so small. Yeah, so we need to tell it to use a local login. So let's see, we're going to do a config T. We want to configure lines VTY 0 through 4. Okay, and then I think it's login local. There we go. Okay, writing our config, show config. Oops. Show config. There we go. Okay, so let's give this a shot. I'm going to open up a new PuTTY window here. And if you're familiar with PuTTY, for some bizarre reason, the lines of scroll back is only set to defaults to 200, but we want like 32,000 or some huge number. And once you change something like that, you have to go back to session and hit save again, which is kind of odd. But okay, so let's give this a shot and see what happens. Okay, well, you probably didn't see it because here, I'll restart it. Yeah, so something isn't right, and usually this is because of the RSA key. Let's see, config T, crypto key, generate RSA. Okay, general key storage. Okay, please define a we need a domain name. Okay, so it's under IP domain name. Okay, and now it's going to be network engineering vblog.com. Okay, we're going to write that. Now let's see if we can generate that RSA key now. So we're going to do a config T, and crypto crypto key generate RSA. Okay. The name for the keys will be ESwitch2.networkengineeringvblog.com. Choose the size of the key. For SSH2, we needed at least a 1024, so we're going to just say 1024 again. And righty. Okay, yeah, so now we're back to SSH version 1.99, which is close enough. Okay. Let's try our SSH again. So new session and ESwitch2 load open. And there it goes. So see, now I did it. Here's that key we just generated. It's RSA 1024. And here's all the key. Yes, we expect this. And voila. We have a prompt. Type in Cisco. And the password for Cisco is Cisco. Oh, Cisco. Did I mistype it? Oh, it doesn't like it. Why doesn't it like my Cisco password? Okay, so after poking around on the internets for about 20 minutes, I finally stumbled across what the problem was, and yeah, it's just one of those things that you probably only have to ever do one time on the switch, and then you'll never have to do it again, and that is let's do a show run. Oh yeah, here it is in the config. Yeah, so yeah, you'll probably only have to do that command one time in your switch's life, and then you'll never have to do that again. But what it looks like it does is that if you go down here, it looks like it encrypted some of the passwords in here, which is kind of interesting. I guess I never really paid attention, but so like see this, remember when we added the username Cisco, password Cisco? Well, that enable password encryption encrypted it. Or I'm sorry, the service password encryption encrypted it. So but yeah, so now we can SSH into our switch. See? Oops. There we go. So yeah, that was interesting. Okay, so one last thing. So now we don't need the console port anymore. One last thing I want to do is, and I do this on everything, is on this line VTY. So we're going to do a config T line. Oops. Let's copy and paste this guy, and I'm going to set the timeout on it. And it's oh, there it is. It's exec. Oops. It's exec timeout 0. And what that does, that'll stop it from timing out my SSH session, and that's okay as long as you know, you remember to close all your SSH sessions when you're done. If you have team members that are bad about doing that, then you might, you know, make that exec timeout, reset that to something that'll kick them off after a while. I did see when I was poking around on the internet, I did see how to assign an IP address to this interface, and it was kind of interesting. We can try it here real quick. Let's just have some fun real quick. So it's config T interface fast 10. Let's do it to 48 again. And one of the things that I was remember the switch port. What they were saying is do a no switch port. No switch port. I think just enter. Okay, now let's see if we can assign IP address. Well, yeah, see, remember before we didn't even have the ability to see the command IP address. So now if we just want that IP address on that one interface, which is really what we want to do, probably not from this putty window right here. Oops. Probably not from this putty window right here because we're using that. But you know, since it's just going to be a temporary thing, I want the switch address to be, you know, something that I can access in-band or from the router. And I don't want to go through a management network interface. So, okay, so I'm back on the COM port. Show config. Oops. All right. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is, where's our VLAN at? So I'm going to delete the IP address out of our VLAN right here, and I'm going to add it to this port 48 right here. So the first thing, and I'm on the console. You can't do this from, excuse me, being SSH'd in because you'll lose your connectivity. So okay, so let's do a config T, and we want to do interface VLAN 1. So what's nice about doing this, you can just copy and paste. Copy, paste. Okay, and then we're just going to say no IP address. Copy, paste. And do a control C and a write. And so now we're going to go on to our Ethernet interface. So it's config T. And we want to put it on interface 48 right here. Copy, paste. Okay. And we're going to say IP address is 192.168.1.76 255.255.255.0, and we're going to write that. So let's do a I'm going to reset the terminal and clear the scroll back so I can do a fresh show config. So we're going to copy all this to clipboard, edit, select all, paste. Okay. Yeah, so there we go. So I guess a no switch port just tells it it's not going to be included in the switch. And I don't see, it doesn't look like anything is shut down, so I'm going to go ahead and plug it in while we're watching the console here, and let's see if port 48 comes up. Well, the light turned green. That's good. Yeah, okay, so yeah, we see change state to up. Excellent. So yeah, let's see if our SSH still works. Let's say new session. And this is ESwitch 2. Open. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so now when we start configuring it, we'll just leave port 48 out of the mix until we're ready to implement it in a group of some sort. So there you go. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you like the video, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, or just leave a note in the comments. I'll try to answer them all, and I'll see you next time.